All right, welcome everyone. If you are wondering where you are, you're at Libros en Español, creating language equity through open education with Robin Miller and Juan Jesus Payan. They are both from different institutions in the CUNY system, and I will turn the time over to them and get you started.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. First, I'd like to say thank you to the Open Education 2020 organizers for putting together this conference and giving us the opportunity to share our project with all of you. And of course, big thanks to our session host, Dustin, who will keep everything running smoothly here in our Zoom room. So hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We are excited to be here with you and talk about our new project, Libros en Español, which is hosted on the City of New York or CUNY Manifold instance. There will be two of us speaking today about Manifold and Libros en Español, myself and Professor Juan Jesus Payan. Hello.
Hello.
There we go. Trouble difficulty. There, I got it handled. Okay. First of all, my name is Robin Miller, and I am an open educational technologist at the Graduate Center at CUNY. And I am part of the Graduate Center's digital initiatives team, where I work closely with the CUNY Teaching and Learning Center to support members of the CUNY community that work on the Academic Commons and the Manifold platform. So Manifold is an Andrew W. Mellon and National Endowment for the Humanities grant-funded, not-for-profit, and 100% open source digital publishing platform. It is the result of a collaboration between CUNY, the University of Minnesota Press, and Cast Iron Coding. During this presentation, I will refer to the CUNY instance of Manifold, but anyone can download and install their own instance of Manifold. And because it's 100% open source, you can modify and adapt Manifold to your own specifications or develop additional features to meet the needs of your own institution. So Manifold's goals are to push digital publishing beyond the static PDF. To showcase scholarship and to provide authors advanced functionality and multimedia capabilities within their text, to escape companion websites and connect text directly to ancillary resources, and to provide an elegant interface with annotation and commenting tools for readers. Manifold is responsive, so no matter what device you might be using, whether that be a phone or a tablet, a laptop or a desktop, Manifold will adjust the content to match that. So as a part of the CUNY Manifold team, the main focus of my day-to-day work is helping Manifold users, both readers and project creators, discover new and exciting ways to use Manifold, both in and outside the classroom, as a tool for teaching and open educational resource publishing. So with Manifold, you can create custom course editions that may include multimedia resources such as video or audio files within the text or as supplementary resources. So at CUNY, we've used Manifold to create multiple collections, including the CUNY student editions, which are high quality, peer-reviewed digital editions of historical text. CUNY student editions are designed to meet the needs of a diverse body of students and instructors with textual notes and new introductions. Some editions include additional background material, critical responses, and sources. Each CUNY student edition is edited by a community of scholar students through an open peer review process. And the two main goals of the series are to work towards diversifying the curriculum by giving wider access to formerly obscure, uncirculated, or variant texts, and to provide instructors with easy to adopt open access editions of canonical text. So with all that being said, we are really excited to be here today and to introduce you to a brand new collection of texts on the CUNY Manifold instance called Libros en Español. And what makes this so exciting for us is that this is our first collection that is entirely in Spanish. And this is an incredibly important collection for CUNY as we strive to diversify the texts and open educational resources available on Manifold so that they better reflect the needs and individuals that make up our community. So this collection began as a conversation between myself and a faculty member at Lehman College, which is also part of the CUNY system, Juan Jesus Payan, who you'll hear from shortly. He was teaching a course on the 19th century Spanish writer Benito Pérez Galdós for the 100th anniversary of his death, and was interested in using Manifold to create an open educational resource and zero textbook cost course so that he could save his students some money on textbooks, as well as have them all work with the same text, thus eliminating the turn to page 10 or no turn to page 11, but also additionally so that his students could take advantage of the new reading groups feature in Manifold. So all texts on the CUNY Manifold instance are available for use in any classroom, anywhere in the world. And they're a great way to create zero textbook cost courses. But with the reading groups feature, you're not only offering your students the ability to use a free text, but you also give them the opportunity to work on the same text using social annotation tools already built into Manifold, and to create classroom dialogue and empower student voices. And all this can be done in a public or a private reading group. And as you can see from the screenshot here, these are the current annotations and comments for Juan Jesus's course right now that he is running. So fortunately for us, as we created Libros en Español, all of Galdós's work is in the public domain. And we found some really well-made EPUBs so that we were able to bring those texts into Manifold easily and build the Galdós course site. And what we realized as we were doing this was that there was a real need for more text and OER in Spanish. So this really set the foundation of Libros en Español, and we have continued to build on that. So far we have over 100 public domain texts in this collection, and that includes the complete works of Galdós. We have 8 authors currently, 7 are women. They represent multiple regions of the Spanish-speaking world. And by no means is this complete. We are going to continue to add text and use this incredible platform to elevate voices from across the Spanish-speaking world. So at this point, I'd like to hand you over to Juan Jesus. Let him tell you about his real-time experience using Manifold and text from the Libros en Español collection in the classroom this fall. Thank you for your time, and here is Juan Jesus.
Thank you, Robin. Hello to all of you. My name is Juan Jesus Payan, and I'm a Spanish professor at Lehman College, CUNY. In this portion of our talk, I will share with you how the project of Conociendo a Galdós came about, the context and goals that aimed at its creation, as well as some of the preliminary results that I have obtained already. Conociendo Galdós is the product of ongoing conversations between Robin and I regarding the necessary reconsideration of the literary canon, the challenges posited by the monolingual paradigm prevailing in sectors of American academia, and the pedagogical possibilities of OER through Manifold. For quite some time, we had been considering our collaboration, but it was only in the summer of 2020, under the reflective juncture of this global pandemic, that I reached out to Robin with the idea of initiating the collection of Libros en Español. I'd been assigned a graduate seminar in my field, Spanish 19th century literature, and I felt it was the right time to embark on a project devoted to the works of Benito Pérez Galdós. I would like to publicly thank Robin for doing the heavy lifting in the creation of this project by both doing the ingestion or uploading of all files into Manifold and curating its final design. This would not have been possible without you. For this first use of Libros en Español in the classroom, I chose the works by Benito Pérez Galdós in the centennial of his death in 1920. Often known in the Anglophone world as the Spanish Charles Dickens, the impressive output by Pérez Galdós includes over 100 titles comprised of novels, short stories, essays, and theater productions. Galdós is frequently compared not only to the author of the Pickwick Papers, for instance, but also to towering figures of the 19th century, such as Honoré de Balzac or Leo Tolstoy. Critics traditionally have placed Galdós' stature second only to Cervantes in the Spanish letters. Yet, as Walter Pattison warned as early as in 1954, Pérez Galdós' legacy has become increasingly invisible and nearly archaeological in nature, especially in the US. Even among avid readers and literature connoisseurs, the importance of Galdós is largely unfamiliar territory. In this context, it's indicative of the case Robin and I are making with this talk, namely, the troubling invisibility of languages and cultures in the larger geocultural landscape. The invisibility of Galdós abroad is not a random occurrence, but the logical consequence of the demotion of Spain and anything Spanish at the very threshold of the foundation of post-enlightened modernity, something that could be extrapolable to some degree to other Southern European countries. As you can see there, this is as recent as the UN called Portugal, Spain, Italy, and Greece the pigs of Europe. With the decline of Spanish Empire and the rise of Anglophone and Francophone cultural hegemony, Hispanophone cultures became progressively cornered into a position of marginality at the very fringes of the non-modern world. This reasoning, to a wide extent, is still embodied into our literary history, comparative literature discussions, teaching curriculum, and so on. We know that representation matters, but more often than not, linguistic and cultural diversity are pushed off the central stage of our academic and social discussions. Diversity is important, even if you don't speak English. Thousands of Spanish undergraduate and graduate students study in American universities. There, they learn their native literatures through the lens of foreign instruction and come to internalize the logic that places their literary and cultural heritage as inherently dispensable, if not inferior. OER can help to change this and correct this biased picture. This is why it is so important to see writers such as Pérez Galdós, Concepción Arenal, or Gertrudis Gómez de Avellaneda, to just name a few, in the OER platforms inhabited by the likes of Nathaniel Hawthorne, Mary Wollstonecraft, or Harriet Beecher Stowe. The commemoration of Galdós' centennial was timely in many ways. By using Manifold's ability to pull social media activity from Twitter, I was able to bring his words to life in my classroom, linking his words to the many Galdós' events, hosted mainly in Madrid and the Canary Islands. You can see, for example, in that map, that's the way some people are visiting Madrid these days. They're seeing the Madrid by Galdós. Or you can see some theater productions like Fortunata and Benito, or you can even have access to his house in the Canary Islands. Also, in this period of limited in-person access to sources due to the global pandemic, these Centennial's digital initiatives provided my students with plenty of material to prepare their assignments and research papers. As I faced the challenges of transitioning to remote education, I was also determined to target a number of specific goals for my graduate seminar, along with the mandatory need to document my students' actual engagement with the reading material. I wanted to foster a more student-centered pedagogy built from and around their genuine interests and interpretations, beyond the scope of my particular lines of analysis. I also wanted to be able to diagnose promptly reading and writing challenges and provide opportunities for interaction among classmates in this period of social isolation. Finally, I wanted to empower my students' writing by working together, leading to a publication of a digital proceedings that hopefully will be available at the end of this academic year. Manifold has been an ideal platform to achieve my goals in several meaningful ways. First, I've been using reading groups to foster student interaction with the text and each other as well. The reading groups feature has allowed me to empower students to lead class discussion, while also giving me the ability to tailor my lesson plans around their actual topics of interest. Every week, my students were asked to submit 5 critical comments on a reading assignment of 50 to 60 pages. They did so either by attaching annotations to passages of the text or commenting, replying to their peers' annotations. You can see on the screen how debate through annotation has worked so far. So you can see that by the end of chapter 3, 2 students noted that there was something interesting happening there. One comments on the representation of one of the characters, and the other student replies to that. And there's more comments in that same page. Then I took the common threads and original analysis provided by the students, and I built my lesson plan around them. Sometimes I fleshed out historical references needed to understand the context. Other times, I fed from their different angles to encourage debate. Second, we have started the foundation of a course proceeding that we will publish as a digital edition on Manifold, and that I will be editing and prologuing. The aim here is to elevate student voices, give them a taste of what the process of publishing looks like, while also boosting their confidence as emerging scholars. Moving forward, Robin and I will embark on a new exciting stage of Libros en Español, though Robin has already started this already. As part of our shared concern about the exclusion of women's voices in the literary canon, Robin has started to build a collection of female writers from around the Spanish-speaking world. At this stage, feminist intellectuals such as Concepción Arenal, Emilia Pardo Bazán, Teresa Williams Scott, and Carmen de Burgos are already included, along with the advocate for indigenous rights, Florinda Mato de Turner, and multicultural late romantic figures such as Cecilia Bell de Faber and Angela Grassi. I will stop right here and give my turn to Robin. I'm looking forward to your questions in the Q&A. Thank you.
All right, so I hope that our presentation today about Manifold and Libros en Español inspires you to think about how you can use public domain text for your own OER projects. And if you're curious about what you can do with Manifold, please feel free to get in touch with either one of us. I'm always happy to chat about Manifold and open educational resources, but we'd like to thank you very much for joining us, and we'd be happy to take any questions at this point.
So your first question, there are a couple questions like, how does Manifold compare to Pressbooks? Also, someone says, I'm using an instance of Manifold app from University of Georgia. They would like to know how you incorporate Twitter social media data. So there's a couple questions in the chat that you can catch up with.
All right, let me just pop open the chat here. So compare to Pressbooks. Well, first and foremost, Manifold is not currently an authoring platform. And that means that you do all of your building and creating of your project and your text outside, whether you do that in a plain text editor or you do that in Microsoft Word, or however you choose to create your material, that is then ingested into Manifold. And once it's there, you cannot go into it and edit it, which I believe with Pressbooks you can go in and actually do authoring. It's build, is that a WordPress? Am I speaking out of turn here? Somebody jump in and tell me if I'm not. But yeah, so it's different at this point. There is certainly talk within our team of creating authoring functionality within Manifold in the future, but we're not there yet. So someone about incorporating, was it a Twitter? Was that a social media? I think.
In the chat, Juan Jesus had said something, I'm pretty sure, about being able to incorporate, where is it at? So it's from Vivek. I'm using an instance of Manifold app from University of Georgia for a textbook of mine. Would be great to know how to incorporate Twitter social media data you mentioned in the Manifold app.
Fantastic. So if you go into the back end, if you're the creator of your project, you can get into the back end of your Manifold project, and within the activity, you can link it to a hashtag, and you can and there's more directions, certainly in our documentation, you can go there. I'm hoping that you have an amazing Manifold resource at Georgia that can help you. If not, you can always reach out to anyone on the Manifold team. My email is there. Feel free to contact me directly or jump into Slack, but you can pull a hashtag and get Manifold to go out and automatically pull any activity around that hashtag, which I think you saw for Juan Jesus's project. And you can add multiple hashtags. You can create a hashtag for your own project, for your own class course. So I hope that makes sense.
Another question, a comment. Here's a good comment that we should bring a light to, coming from David Don Draper. Coming from the Canadian context, often our institutions are very Anglo-normative and neglect the vast base of Francophone Canadians and knowledge. Seeing this project has been fantastic, and I feel as though something similar in the Franco-Canadian context would be fantastic.
Yes, absolutely. We advocate for anything. Step outside this this monolingualism that we have, and unfortunately, I think with so many digital projects, we just fall back to English all the time. And we've got to just push ourselves to break out of that.
Yeah, and then there's also the whole fact is how invisible is French Canadian literature, which it's a big problem. So I'm with David Draper on this one. It would be wonderful to have that represented in Manifold.
Yes, absolutely.
Laura Tabor Huerta asks, can we access Libros en Español as an individual or through our respective universities? I think they want the access point, if you can share a link.
Absolutely. Sure. You can use anything on, the CUNY Manifold edition. So any text, anything that's there within CUNY, and let me just quickly type that in. It is actually down here at the bottom, but I will put it in the chat. So cuny.manifoldapp.org.
There you go.
Awesome.
Hopefully that will work.
And Anita verifies that Pressbooks does definitely retain editing functionality after publication, which is its obvious big upside.
Correct.
Thank you, Anita.
Correct. Absolutely. But yeah, going back to anything that you want to use, anything that's on Manifold, you are welcome to use. Generally, everything has a CC license on it, so you may use it. Many of the projects enable EPUBs. So if you or your students want to download those EPUBs, you can have them to read offline later. Anyone can create a reading group. We made reference to those a couple of times. We have guides to do that in English and in Spanish, and we will hope to keep creating them in multiple languages if people want to use those. We don't require you to have anything but a basic account, and that doesn't cost you anything. It's just so that you have identity when you create annotations. You can read anything in Manifold and use it in your classroom with no strings attached. If you want to use a reading group, we just ask that you sign up. And like I said, it doesn't cost you anything. Quick sign up, throw your email in there, and you can create a public or a private reading group that you're welcome to use in your classroom or outside your classroom. If you have a private reading group, that you want to get together with friends and discuss text, that's all available.
Well, giving somebody my email address is a type of cost.
Yes, I do. I stand correct. I apologize. That is absolutely the case. Yes.
So one last question.
Yes.
Does Manifold offer any tools or affordances that help with multiple translations or working with multiple languages?
Not at the moment, but certainly not with translations. Mm-hmm. We are working to get the Manifold platform itself translated into multiple languages. We've got a grant proposal out right now that we are looking for some funding, and I do believe that we received that, and we're going to be able to move forward. I don't have a date, and I really wish I did. But that will be coming in the future, but nothing that will actually translate, nothing like a Google Translate or something like that.
Well, Robin and Juan Jesus, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for all the work that's happening at CUNY and all the work you're doing. Do you have any final comments before we stop recording?
No, thank you.
Thank you all.
Everyone for joining us today. Stay safe, stay well.